next thing, which is basic harmony. Basic harmony. No, the basics of harmonizing. No, it's so important to be able to listen, because if you're not able to listen, then harmonizing becomes difficult. And they give the praise team leader or the choir director or the musicians a headache because you're not listening. So, that was a gentle clearing of my throat. Oh God, the struggles. All right. So, what is harmony? Harmony is, in music, it is pretty much, it's simply put, the sound of two or more notes sounded simultaneously. So harmony is really based off the melody that is the main tune of a song, as well as the chords that would accompany that melody. So though there are different types of harmony, we have different types of harmonies that we won't get into. You have non-diatonic harmony, which introduces notes that aren't all a part of the same master scale, and you have atonal harmony, but we're not going into those intricacies because in our regular day-to-day churches, we just use some basic harmonies for the most part. So we're going to be kind of looking into that a little bit. All right. So as I said, it's important for us to first to know the tune of the music if we're going to harmonize effectively. So here I have a hymn. Now some people don't use hymns in their churches. All they sing is Maverick City songs, Hillsong, elevation worship. But there are some people who use hymns at their churches, right? Now why I'm showing this little part of this hymn is that as you look, it might look, if you have not done music before, it might look like, what is that? But simply put, as you see these things, we call them notes. I don't know if you're seeing where my mouse is, right? So here, these things on these lines, so we call these lines and spaces, we call it the staff. All right. Crash course, everybody. So on the staff we have notes. Now as you can see here on this staff, which is the treble staff, so this curly thing you see up here is the treble clef, and this that you see down here is the bass clef. Now we have some notes on the treble clef. Now this little thing here, these two hashtag looking things, we call them sharps. All right. And what these things, these represent what we call key signatures right now. So the key signature tells us what key we're in. Now this piece, this song, this hymn is in the key of D major. Now as I said, these are notes right here, and what remember we spoke about harmony earlier, is that when notes are played together it produces harmony, as well as it could be in unison, because if I'm playing, let's say, C and C, for those who understand that, then I'm playing in unison. But then once I add another note to it, then it becomes a harmonic. It could be an interval, it could be a chord, right? Now here I'm gonna play the top notes. So you see these top notes up here. So we on the treble staff, you're seeing the two notes. You're seeing two notes, but I'm gonna play the top notes. All right. Everybody said they're hearing the keyboard, right? We're hearing the keyboard good? All right. All right, good. So I'm going to play the top note. Hey, 9/8 time signature. And this starts pretty much like an crucis. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, I'm not going to play any further than that. So we know that that's the melody, right? Now, if I play the second note that we're seeing there with it, this is what it sounds like. Daniel Edwards, do not judge me, please. Okay, or Daniel Bryan. These people are past Edna Manley students. All right, so let's go. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where am I? Okay, yeah. Oh, that's the harmony that they have. So it sounds like them old time harmony-ish, right? All right. So what happens is, did we hear the difference now when the second notes were added? Right? So good. So you hear the difference because harmony is now created when another note is added, right? And I could add the bass, but I'm not going to embarrass myself this morning because I probably should have practiced this before I came onto the Zoom. You know, technology will flop your show. All right. So it's important that we know the melody of the song. As I said, everybody needs to know the melody of the song. The keyboard player, the bass guitarist, they all need to know the melody of the song. The musicians need to know it because they need to know where they're going in the song. And if you even don't know the song, you can listen because chords, the melody, the chords are centered around the melody of the song, right? So if the person is singing, they maybe, let's say we're in the key of C, they maybe start singing a note. The melody maybe has F, A, D, A, F, for example. Maybe they would go to the 4 or they would go to the 2, right? So it's important that you can hear the melody and know where it is going, and just know what chords that can work with that. Is the melody the same as the tune? Yeah, man, that's what we said earlier, Miss Gigi, that the melody is the main tune of the song, right? So it's important that we know the melody of the song. Everyone needs to know the melody, especially because there are some songs where you end up singing in unison together. All right. Next thing is, so how does harmony work? So sometimes we have sopranos split in two. Sometimes we have altos split in two, tenors split in two, bass. When I say split in two, I mean we might have first soprano, second soprano. Some choirs, like traditional choirs, you might have quas. Let me say quas. You might have soprano, soprano, alto. Maybe that's at an all-girls school. More commonly, we have soprano, alto, tenor in our churches, right? In like the Anglican churches, they might have soprano, alto, tenor, bass. And what you would have seen on the score that I showed of Blessed Assurance earlier, that is an SATB setup. If we're supposed to let each person sing the part. So the sopranos usually have the top, the altos usually have the second notes, the tenors usually have the third note, and the basses usually have the fourth note, right? And that's usually, and it doesn't mean that the sopranos always have the melody. The sopranos do not always have the melody. Sometimes it's the altos that have the melody and the sopranos are singing the harmony, right? But just naturally the build up or the setup of it is that the sopranos are at the highest note, the altos come in, and then the tenors, and then the bass. All right, so how does harmony work? So as I said, in traditional settings, we tend to have soprano, alto, tenors. I'm going to be playing something and I'm going to ask you if you can find the parts, right? I don't know if I will be able to. All right, let us see. So I'm going to play a song and I'm going to go to the part where the harmony comes in, and if you are able to tell me what the so remember I said to you that the soprano has the top notes, the altos have the second note, and the tenors tend to have the third note. This is a SAT setup that can somebody tell me what the sopranos are singing? Sorry.
Me.
Okay, the sopranos have the top note, so tell me what they're singing. Somebody unmute and tell me what they're singing. Beautiful. Amen. All right. And somebody said they're singing cronim. Well, they're singing cronim. The sopranos have the melody in this case. All right. Good. So what are the altos singing? Let me play. Lord. All right. Good. And the tenors?
Something like that.
Okay. All right. Oops, sorry. So we're in E flat. All right. All right. Now, what I want you to know is that usually when the first note, the starting note is usually based off a triad, right? And what is a triad? A triad. Daniel, what is a triad? Daniel Edwards, Daniel Bryan, what is a triad?
So a triad is three or more notes, that makes up a card.
3 or more? Triad?
No, triad is three notes. I'm very sorry.
Three.
Sorry. Pardon me. It's just three notes makes up that.
Okay. So it makes up a chord, right? Right? Alright, good. So as I said to you before that we maybe have sopranos and whatever split, but in this case, usually the triad gives us the 3 main notes that start off the song, right? Now, just like how you were able to listen just now, you said the sopranos had the top because you were able to find, and I'm gonna give one more exercise and see if we can find what the sopranos have, what the tenors have, and what the altos have. So as I said, this is a triad. Do, mi, so. So do, re, mi, fa, so. So we skip the re and we skip the fa and we end up with a triad. Do, mi, so. And if we sing that together, is there anybody that is in a space together like a choir or a praise team? No? Yes? Okay. All right. Nobody. All right. So so the sopranos had crown him, right? Crown. So, and somebody said the altos had crown and the tenors had crown. So if we put that together, unfortunately Zoom will not allow us to sing together. That is the starting note. So it's so easy that almost any song, it doesn't mean it's applicable to every song. Once the song starts and you find the top note, you can find what the other persons are singing. I'm going to just try one more, see if we can find what the all right. I'm going to use this one. Wouldn't understand healing. Let me go to it's coming. So I want you to listen to that part that says boast in my pain, boast in the rain. And I want you to tell me what the soprano is singing.
So I boast. Wait. Boast in my pain, boast in my rain. Something like that?
Yes. All right. And what do the altos have?
Boast in my pain.
Boast in the rain. All right, good. And what does the tenor? What the tenor has?
Both in the rain, both in the rain. I hope no,
That's
no,
like the octave
that's
below the
alto.
sopranos.
Yeah. Both in my
Yes.
pain, both in the rain. Something like that.
All right. So who has the melody in the song? Because the actual song, this song is so I'll boast in my pain, boast in the rain. So who has the melody?
Altos.
The altos have the melody in the song. Good. I see somebody said big tune. Oh, you know my song. Thank you. All right. So yes. So it's, you see how, and then so that is boast. And no, this is going to be interesting because this brings me to the next thing that I want to introduce is that harmonies can be inverted, right? And I'm sure we've all heard, you hear some people, we're going up, and it's not changing the key, it's inverting the harmony. So originally maybe the sopranos would have had, let me go back to crown him. I want to, unfortunately I'm not able to have anybody sing this morning. Hopefully next year we can meet in a physical space. But crown him. I'm gonna stay in this key. Alright, let me go in this key. crown him. Cause we said that the sopranos had the melody earlier, right? Crown him. Alto said crown him. And tenor said crown him. All right. But so what we're seeing on the screen here is crash course, as I said, C, E, G, right? C, E, G. Crown, crown, crown. But if we're inverting, so that's the root position of the chord. If we're inverting, it means that the people who had soprano, you're going to be singing what the tenors were singing an octave higher, right? So while the tenors would have had crown him, originally sopranos, you had crown him. But when you go up and they say we're going up, we're going to invert, crown him. I remember the tenors had crown him earlier. So now sopranos have crown him. And altos you had crown him. But you're moving up to what the sopranos had, which is the melody. Crown him. Right? And the tenors, you're moving up to what the altos had. So instead of singing crown him, you're moving to crown him. Crown him. So crown him. So that's C to F. Alright. And if we invert to the next one, crown. No. And then we go to, I don't know if you can kind of hear what's happening with the keyboard. If it would be easier to explain with voices, but it's pretty much that's the basics of inverting, because sometimes we overthink, like, what am I doing? It just means while you're singing your part confidently, listen to what the next section beside you is singing. So the tenors, you're going to move to what the altos singing, and the altos you're moving to what the sopranos were singing, and the sopranos you're moving to what the tenors were singing an octave higher. And if you need to invert again, it means that the sopranos who have moved to tenor, you're going to sing what the altos were singing originally in the octave higher, right? Because we're going up. So here we have, as I said, crash course, C, E, G right here. This is C, this is E, this is G. And the second chord is E, then G, then C, right? It's the same thing. Same chord, but different inversions, right? So how do we create a nice blend? This is the next thing that's very important, creating a nice blend. We have to listen to each other. We have to match volume. We have to match dynamics. So if everybody is getting soft, everybody needs to go soft. If everybody is belting, everybody needs to belt the same way, right? And that's so essential to creating harmonies. We have to match the voice quality as best as possible. Sorry. We have to use the same vowel formation. So if everybody is saying, here's my worship, right? Somebody else can sing worship, all of my worship. Everybody's saying worship, okay? If that's the way how we're gonna approach it, we all need to approach it that way. We must use the same vowel formation. God. Some people can be saying God. God. If we're all saying God together, let us say God together. If we're being Black American style like and saying God, let us all say God together, okay? The same way. So we got to use the same vowel formation. We want to breathe at the same phrases, right? If we're taking a breath, he brought me through hard trials, he brought me through tribulations. Never let a day go by and not realize. Right? Everybody has to be singing it. Had not been for the Lord who was on my side, back was against the wall. Why you think the Clarke sisters all have that nice blend together? Because they're all singing the same. They're using the same pronunciation. They're enunciating the same way, and they're taking their breath at the same phrases. You can't take the breath in the middle of the phrase and me take it at the beginning of the phrase. Right? We must do it together. All right. I know Trevelle wanted me to show. I had the opportunity of singing with Kimberell in 2019, and one of the things that with the three of us as females that were singing together, we had to match each other's voices, you know. So we the practice, while we practice, we just had to really work on matching each other's voices. So I'm gonna just show a quick clip of that. All right, share screen. We're pretty much at the end right now. As I say, it was a crash course. Almost there, woman. All right, if you're listening, you hear that grip. We grip it together. Get a real good grab. Right? If we're doing grab, we got to grab together. All right. And even let me just do this quickly again. These singers. We hear that unison, how everybody's just trying to place those notes nicely together. All right. So you get the drift. If we're pronouncing blending together, is about how we enunciate, how we phrase, how we the dynamics and all these beautiful things. These are all a part of basics in harmonies. There's so much more to harmonies than this, but as I said, it's a crash course, and I've come to the end of my presentation. I want to thank you all for participating so much in the chat. Yes, it was great to have you people speak with me right there, and thank you so much for having me.